Hi, Jeff here for the Cast Bullet Association. In this video I want to talk about lead and from whence we source our materials. So really there's two ways that we can source lead for our casting. The first is to buy lead alloys from certified vendors, where we might go and say I want pure lead, or I want a 20-to-1 alloy of lead and tin, and the vendors will use virgin metal and mix us up exactly what we want. But most of us rely on scrap, the ultimate in recycling, if you will. And so, as such, we're looking at some of the materials we've got in front of us here. And really, when we talk about lead cast bullets, well, it's actually a bit of a misnomer because very few are actually pure lead. We're mainly working in alloys. So for muzzle loaders we're working in pure lead, but for the most part we're not. So, to start off at the soft end of the spectrum, one source is the likes of this sheathing here. So this is lead flashing, probably off a roof or something like that, be almost pure lead. And to go with it, the old lead pipes. And what to be careful with the lead pipes is that when they have a join of some description, they have solder on them. So if you want to keep the most pure lead, make sure that you cut well back of the solder, and then that offcut you can use for alloying with your wheel weights or something like that. But the tin in the solder will harden, so something to be aware of. Now, next we've got our wheel weights over here, and I've done a video on wheel weights already in sorting, so I'll put a link to that. And then we come down to things like good old Linotype. And Linotype is an interesting beast. It's gone the way of the dodo bird because it's just not used anymore. But this is the way we used to print. And Linotype's very, very high in antimony, and it has a degree of tin in it as well, about 12% antimony. Casts absolutely beautifully, as was required to make the very fine detail of this text here. And it's unnecessarily hard for most of our casting. Some people like to use it straight. It makes beautiful bullets, it really does. But we can cut it back by adding pure lead and make it go a bit further because it's getting quite rare now. This here is very, very soft lead, and this is spacer material that goes between the Linotype plates for separating them. Okay, and we come back to things like this. This is white metal, or otherwise known as Babbitt. And many years ago I was given a very, very large bearing that contained a lot of tin-based Babbitt. And because this is mostly tin, I use it for when I'm alloying and add it to wheel weights to make it flow a bit better, or add it to pure lead to get some binary alloys, which is great. And in a similar vein, we've also got the likes of bar solder. And this is 50-50 bar solder. This is 50% lead, 50% tin. And again, great for alloying our metals. If we want to get our wheel weights to flow a little better, if we want to make a binary alloy of lead and tin, 40-to-1, 30-to-1, 20-to-1, even up to 16-to-1. Al McKeith was a big proponent of 16-to-1. So that's really about as far as alloys go. Something to avoid: batteries. There's some very, very nasty material to be had in batteries, so please stay away from them. It's just not worth the hassle. And then there's the likes of, if you've got access to a small bore range, if you can recover rimfire lead, that's wonderful. That'll be very, very consistent. It'll be soft, but very consistent. And range scrap from berm mining at your local club, if you're able to do that. That's a great way of recovering and recycling some lead too. There was a day when I used to always come home from the range with more lead than I went out. So that was a very economical way of shooting. And the secret there is to do as big a batch as you can, because of course there's no guaranteeing what you're picking up. It could be hard lead, soft lead, something in between. So when you get it, cast as big a batch as you can, 40, 50, 60 pounds, and that way at least you've got an alloy of a decent amount. And that really takes care of it. So soft lead, very, very hard lead, and along with Linotype there's also monotype and stereotype, and you can research them, but this is the essence of it here. Wheel weights, and we'll come back to that in another video, and then ways of adding tin to our mix just to get a bit of flow going. So that's about the size of alloys. Hope it helped.